You're listening to the Footy Banter podcast with Ben, Chris, and Dan.
Yep, welcome to week 4 of Footy Banter, boys. It's Melios here with Chip in-house, and we have BT on the phone.
He's on the phone.
How you doing, BT?
Phone. I'm doing well, boys. Do you know why I'm doing well?
Why is that?
I'll tell you right now. I am doing fantastically because the Western Bulldogs had an absolute belter of a win on the weekend over your slog mob. And I promised the listeners last week that I would play the song for the entire show.
I'm glad that you're not here to do that.
Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm sure everyone's devastated.
Yep.
But how about it, boys?
No, yeah, it was great. It was great. You know, it was the first. Well, I stopped watching it, Melios and BT, literally 10 minutes into the second quarter. I know Essendon that well that I was like, nah, you are not on. You're playing like just useless football.
Yeah.
Doggies played really well. It was best footy they played, obviously, all year. But it was just shocking. And I was just like,
terrible, wasn't it?
It was just no spirit, no fight. I'm sick of going down by like 4 goals and then just trying to fight our way back.
It was just the real bad, like, unforced errors a lot of the time as well.
Yeah.
Having said that, the Dogs were like, they were absolutely on, and BT, you know what? The Dogs bounced back after 2 poor weeks. And
they bounced back. You are right, mate.
Yeah,
I'll pay you that.
Yeah, they did. So they were very good.
So surely Essendon win this week, right? Given your theory, Melios.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
exactly.
the way Port are, and we tend to beat them down here usually. We're having the last
that's
few
beside the
times.
point, mate. We're going to bounce back.
We will bounce back, surely, after dismal effort like that. But hey, boys, you know what I thought was hilarious? Watching the game, the Channel 7 commentators were just going, literally like in the second quarter, like, you know what? The Bulldogs are back to their premiership best from 2016. They're like, oh, yeah, they're back. It's like, mate, like, all right, they've played 1 good game out of 3. Ease up. Like, I mean, Essendon weren't that very good. But, look, you have to, look, credit to the Dogs. They played with a lot of pressure.
They should have been at least 4 to 5 goals up at quarter time.
I would have said probably more like 10 goals up at quarter time.
They should have been.
Were you watching the first quarter, BT?
Yeah, they kicked something like 1,100 behind.
That's actually accurate. No, it was one goal. It was 1 goal 9.
Was it 2-9?
Well, no. It was 1 goal 9 to like Essendon's 1 goal 1 or something. And I was messaging you, Melios, and just saying this is almost over. And then they got on a bit of a run, and then they got a few more goals after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, we were lucky to still be in it at quarter time, half time, but no, very, very disappointing.
Before we move on from that, just quickly, it was probably our worst performance that I've seen in the last
long time.
And I'm not counting 2016 because we had a VFL team.
But they were
you have to. You drug cheat.
Yeah. But the thing was, it was the most frustrating game. And the fact is, even as good as the Dogs played, we had this run in the last quarter where we were going to come back and win it if it wasn't for Danaher's stupid handball to Josh Green.
What? Mate, I can't hear the sound effects, but I hope you're playing right now Benny Hill and or the trumpet.
Actually, Benny Hill, that would have been the perfect time to play the Benny Hill music. Actually.
It would have been.
I think Fowler recreated the video and then put the Benny Hill music on and sent it in the group chat, the prick. So,
boys, I'm here for a short time, not a long time, so let's get off this Essendon banter crap. Let's talk about the Tigers. Another great win on the weekend.
Fair enough.
Back in winning form.
Were you there, BT? Did you make it?
I actually couldn't make it, unfortunately. I had prior engagements, but I was glad to follow along. I thought it was fairly rudimentary win, to be honest. Never in doubt is probably how I'd describe it.
I think you sort of showed that Hawks are not a bad team, but they're not. A lot of people were getting swept away with them after their win against the Cats.
I think
and I don't think they they're improving. From last year where they weren't as good. But I think, a top 4 team like the Tigers, they took care of them pretty easily, really. Like Hawks, it was always like 3-goal buffer I saw, but like Hawks could just never get within
they just couldn't,
2 goals.
Yeah, you guys kept them at bay pretty easily. So it was it was one of those kind of like, it wasn't a very inspiring win, but at the same time, it was a good win and you just did what you had to do.
That's true. Yeah, we got it done. I think bit of a melee actually. It was good. A few people cited for that. I'm sure.
Always like
probably
that.
get into that. later in the show, perhaps.
Was there someone suspended from Richmond? Or no, there were plenty of fines I saw, like Rance and I think a few other
people
guys.
got charged.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any
Rance,
suspensions yet, but
no suspensions out of that. It was just things like engaging in a melee. I think
just having a bit of a biff.
Yeah.
Hey,
a bit of a biff, mate. You're right.
Yeah, you're right, mate. You're right, mate. You know what's some big news out of those Sunday games? I thought was even bigger than those two games was Geelong not just losing, they lost Gary Ablett to a pretty bad hammy as well. So they were down by like 5 goals, came back, hit the front in the third, and then got run over in the end. But
that was a crazy game. You should see the worm.
I'd be up and down like crazy. So did Guthrie get injured as well? Cam Guthrie? I saw him on crutches after the game as well. So was
Cam Guthrie or Zach Guthrie? Which one?
I thought it was Cam. I thought the good one.
Oh, was he back in? Because I know he wasn't playing against the Hawks, I don't think.
Okay. I just saw a photo of Guthrie on... unless it was someone else.
Cockatoo got injured. Again, he's always injured, that guy. So the Cats, they've got their injury worries like big time. If they have a full team,
they do. They were down. I think they were down. They were down 3 on the bench at the end of the game from memory. So
that's you get run over when that happens.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But Ablett's out 4 to 6. Maybe I'm hearing. Is that true, BT?
4 to 6.
Sorry, Ablett 4 to 6. Did you say?
Well, that's what I was hearing. Is that the word?
I think I heard that as well. I think today he had scans and has now. They're sort of refusing to put a timeline on. I've heard. I think it has to be 3 to 4 at minimum. You'd think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're kind of just waiting and seeing at the stage.
Yeah, I'm kind of the way Geelong are playing. They're very lucky to have 1 win, so they should be 0-3. Yeah. I'm strongly reconsidering my prediction for potential premiers that I called at the start of the year because this Ablett, Dangerfield and Selwood thing isn't actually gelling right. I know they've had injuries and they haven't all played together that much.
Mate,
but
it's week 3.
I know, but it's not looking good because Geelong, they've really got nothing outside of that considering how long-term Harry Taylor's going to be out as well.
Yeah. BT, I just wanted to quickly, you know that you're going to lose this week, right? You're playing.
No.
You are playing the best team to have ever played at the MCG by your own.
That's
the Brisbane Lions. You cited many years ago, probably about 2 years ago on Footy Banter for our listeners, way back when, in probably the first season, that somehow you came up with Brisbane Lions were the best team at the MCG when they were bottom of the ladder.
Spinning my words.
No, it is not.
It's word for word what you said.
I did not say anything like that. And we are going to beat the Lions this weekend. We've beaten them something like 12 in a row.
Yeah, but that's at the Gabba, mate, where you easily account for them. You can't beat them at the G. It's a fact. It's a fact.
Yeah, right.
But mind you, he was basing this call off the fact that Brisbane won grand final in 2001, 2002, and 2003. So
Boy, don't tell me you're still not living through your early Ooze grand final appearances. Like they were just yesterday.
Mate, it was that long ago, I've actually forgotten about it, to be honest.
I haven't put the VHS in of the 2000 grand final in for about 10 years.
Yeah, so I forgot about it. I actually wasn't alive then, boys, so I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
Oh, God.
Look, boys, that's going to have to do me for this week's show. Have a good one. I'm sure it'll be pretty shit without me, but, at least the listeners got a bit of me at the start, hey?
It only goes up from here, mate. You know that.
Yeah, right. You wish. Speak to you next week, boys.
See you, mate. Bye-bye.
See you, bud.
See, it's good to have him in small doses.
No, it's just not good to have him at all, actually.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, he did mention, a couple of years ago that the Lions were the best team at the G. So I think put all your money this week.
I wonder if I can dig that up. I'm not going to promise I will dig that up.
He's a gambling man too. I want him to put at least $1,000 on Brisbane on Saturday afternoon.
I doubt he
You wouldn't do it, BT.
No, he wouldn't do it because his week is piss. A couple of other sort of, the Lions almost upset Port, by the way.
Oh, I know. Do you know, before that game, there were $10 to $11, depending on which agency you were going through.
And Port were unbackable favourites. They were like $1, $2.
It was a joke, yeah. And it's hard to, again, this season is hard to read again for a lot of reasons. But, I mean, Port, obviously were looking really strong after beating the Swans in Sydney last week.
Yeah.
And then, I feel like this could have been, not taking anything away from the Lions, but it could have been that, when you're a good team and you play a lower team and it's like the standards drop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mentally, you're not as prepared for it.
Yeah, you're not as prepared.
You
and
feel
also,
like it's going to be an easy
yeah,
win.
and if the standards drop of the game itself, then you also drop a bit.
Yeah.
Or and then they also might just think, oh, well, we're going to win anyway. Like, we might end up be up by 2 goals and there's 15 minutes left, but we're going to win. Like, but you know what I mean?
And the thing is with the Lions, right? Like, they're probably the best team that travels to Adelaide Oval. So, they're probably
actually.
No, I'm just
I thought there was a joke there.
There was a joke there.
But you look at the Worm, like it's crazy. Like, Brisbane had a lot of time in front.
Yeah. And look, and I've always said this, and not that I'm like, some kind of like football whiz, even though I am. But Brisbane, the reason why Brisbane are a danger is because they score really quickly in bunches. Yeah. They can concede it just as quickly, but they generally always have a run where they've kicked 4, 5, 6 in a row pretty quickly. Yeah. I have to say, Chip, with your advice last week about Freo playing an away game at home.
Yep. You took that?
It came up. I took that tip.
Did you actually?
And I got the tip.
Were you going to tip Gold Coast, or had you tipped Gold Coast?
To be honest, I hadn't looked at my tip at that time, but
you probably would have by accident.
I probably wouldn't have noticed the ground, so
I
might have done that.
Do you know I think actually in all 3 tipping comps, including the one with you, I think I'm on top of all of them at the moment because I was going at 100% this week until Essendon dropped against Doggies, and I also tipped Cats against Eagles.
Yeah, me too.
Which, in hindsight, I think I'm a bit silly for doing that because the Cats, again, their defense is depleted at the moment. But anyway, they're still. Like everyone, we get swept away with that midfield.
Probably not so much anymore.
Not so much anymore, especially with Ablett out. But look, it's. I think it would have tricked a few people.
Yeah.
And the Gold Coast Suns, like they play. They're there again. I think they just stayed in WA actually because they're playing Eagles again there.
Interesting tactic.
But it's an away game.
Yeah.
This time for them.
I reckon just before we move on from last week, I said that Bevo was in trouble because the way the Dogs are playing, they're not playing for him.
He heard you, mate, and he said, "Who's this bloody Daniel Melly? Let's go for the Bombers." All right, well, let's take him out. This is your fault,
It is my fault.
He listens to banter.
I'll take responsibility for it, but it's flattering that that's something that we would say would have such an impact. AFL coaches.
Don't bring me into this, mate. Don't say we.
No, it's just Footy Banter is just an influential podcast. But I feel like someone has taken Bevo's, and I don't like to be week to week, but I think Alan Richardson, is in a lot of danger. Not that I think he's necessarily a bad coach. I just think St Kilda are just ST ruggling so badly right now.
ST ruggling. I've heard that since year 12.
That he could be one of the first coaches sacked.
He could definitely. I think
if not for Buckley.
Yeah, and look, Collingwood had a good win on Friday night, albeit it was all against Carlton. But the positive,
and they kicked 16-4, so it could have been different had they not kicked so accurately.
Carlton did.
No, Collingwood.
Oh, Collingwood. Sorry, yeah,
they were very accurate.
And the thing, Carlton, you can't let teams kick 10 goals in a row against you.
No.
This is the thing. We know they're not an amazing team, but regardless, you can't let a team do that. I think, I'm just out of the first 3 rounds, I'm starting to see teams like Melbourne really motor a little bit. I think Melbourne's starting to come together.
Yeah, they are.
They got the first 4 goals kicked against them by North, who I don't think North are a really bad team. I think they are a bottom team, but they're a good bottom team, if you know what I mean. They're not like Carlton. They play Carlton this week. I reckon they'll spank them. The way that
I'd expect North to win. It's in Tassie as well.
I believe. But I see Melbourne really starting to motor. I think Adelaide's coming together. I know they played.
Well, Melbourne have got Hawthorn this week at the G, so that's a massive test.
Yeah. I think we'll get to some tips later, but I got some thoughts on that game. But
and just on that, because I think the Saints have got Geelong in Geelong, so that's going to be rough. So Saints could be screwed. Now Collingwood are playing Adelaide away. This week. Then they've got Essendon on Anzac Day.
Yeah.
Then they've got some tough games coming up after that. Speaking of a few Collingwood...
They'll want to win on Anzac Day given their run.
Yeah, they'll need to. That's probably their only chance of a win in the next sort of few weeks. But, a few Collingwood, fans have been sort of... texting in and telling us, and even just in chats in general, is saying that they're worried that they're going to be They were worried they were going to be 0-8.
Yeah.
Or 1-7, but they've got their one win against Carlton.
They do.
So there's not much confidence around Collingwood fans right now.
No, there's not. But I mean, look, it's. I actually give them. I'm going to tip Adelaide, obviously, but I give them a sneaky chance. I can just.
They
travel well, Pies.
They do.
They generally travel pretty good.
They used to travel well to Adelaide. I remember they used to have a bit of a.
Collingwood have
would over Adelaide
typically
back in the day.
Wherever it is, to be honest. Sydney, they always used to be Sydney up there.
Yeah, it's weird.
So I think they travel really well. But no, look, it's going to be interesting. Can I just quickly go back to Essendon? I've been thinking about this, and I don't know if I messaged you this, but this is my belief, right? I truly believe, and this is going based off last year, previous years, that sort of thing, watching Essendon quite closely. I have a theory that Essendon they only get up and about for the big blockbuster
I agree
Friday
with you
night
100%.
games, Saturday night
when we're
games.
underdogs as well.
When we're underdog, well, yeah, but Friday night against Adelaide a few weeks ago, struggling, and then we get up. Good win. It was good.
Are you getting to the point that we suck on Sunday?
We suck on Sunday. We're useless on Sunday.
I can't remember us winning a game on a
It's a
Sunday.
joke. It's an absolute joke. And look, even Saturday afternoons, I've seen us drop games where we shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I actually just look at it as day games now, aside from maybe like your Anzac Day, stuff like that. I just look at it as day games in general against teams that aren't, 60, 70,000 members, might be an away team, whatever.
Yeah.
I truly believe that there's an underlying mental subconscious thing. It's obviously not meant, but there's a subconscious thing there where it's like, oh, God.
A pattern is developing.
Yeah, we're not playing Collingwood today, in front of 80, 90,000 people. I don't really care as much, right?
Yeah.
Like, I truly believe that because, and I'm basing that off of games like that on the weekend, games like last week against Freo, games like against Brisbane last year at Etihad, right? Inexplicable. So I just, and this is coming from an Essendon.
See if we get the data next week and see, because I reckon there's something to it. There's a bit of a pattern here with
and that's all mental. Well. It's not ability. Yeah. Like, we know that we have. This is the best list we have had in quite a while, right? Yeah. But we are just not playing well as a team. I look at Richmond, right, and BT will probably take offense to this. They've got 4 or 5 absolute A graders. They have some C graders in their team that, because of how well they're playing as a footy club, and because of just the confidence, they're turning these C graders.
These guys are getting pulled up.
That's right. Yeah. Players like, I don't know, Grigg and Townsend, not bad players, but they're not A graders. They're not even B plus graders. No. But they're playing so well as a team.
Very well.
Because, they're full of confidence, right? So and even the Doggies year before, they had some great players, but also some players that you wouldn't expect to be that great.
Yeah.
So it just shows that it doesn't matter how good your ability necessarily is on paper. If you're not playing well as a team, and if you're not up and about for your opposition, you're going to get destroyed. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
The competition is too close. I mean, even the crap teams are not that far off a lot of the time. So
look at Brisbane against Port on the weekend.
Exactly right.
It's and it's frustrating because I messaged you. I think I messaged you. I messaged a lot of Essendon mates 5 minutes before the Essendon Bulldogs game. I said I don't have a good feeling about this.
We said that all week.
Yeah.
Look, let's not talk about the Bombers too much.
They annoyed me. I was annoyed.
It was the most frustrating game I had watched in a long time.
For many years. Anyway. God, BT's not here because otherwise we'd just be hearing the Bulldog song.
He's normally the most insufferable person I've ever met. He'd be 10 times worse than that now. Look, sorry, I know I said let's not talk about Essendon, but what the hell was Conor McGregor? What the hell was Conor?
You don't have the sound effects, do you?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't have them, yeah, right.
I might even cut that out.
You'll have to dub them over.
What the hell was he doing? Like he went to run away from Tory Dixon, got run down.
Yeah.
Tackled over the boundary line.
I think he must have just been frustrated.
Yeah.
I did see the incident. I didn't see him specifically bite him.
You couldn't see it.
It
must have been
So where was it picked up from? Like, did Tory Dixon complain?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because where's it stemmed
It looks
from?
a bit sus. You see the photo.
Yeah. And I've seen the photo. It doesn't look good.
We'll wait and see. It's going straight to the tribunal, so they're going to talk about it. So
if it's gone straight to the tribunal, he's in trouble.
He is.
He'll get at least 2. I'm even thinking 3.
You don't want that. It's terrible, and it's a brain snap. Surely.
It's silly, and I don't think it's happened many times. Who's the famous? Is it Luis Suarez, the soccer player? He's who came to. I'm not a big soccer fan, but I know of him.
He's the biter,
and he keeps biting people like it's
it's
like a vampire.
Yeah, he's basically he's the T-Rex of AFL. Conor McKenna.
Oh god.
Oh well, look, let's talk about this week and what's coming up. So, there's some pretty shitty games on as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Look, Dogs against Swans. They got a reason to be confident because they've got the wood over the Swans a little bit.
And they're coming off obviously a bit. They'll get a bit of confidence from the other day against Essendon.
What's going to happen is the Swans are going to belt them by 10 goals.
I would expect Sydney to quite easily win this game.
Yeah.
I think Sydney as well. They had a good win. Oh, excuse me. They had a good win against GWS the other day. GWS are a top 2-3 team, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't beat them easily, but they won by about 3-4 goals in the end, right? And Buddy Franklin has had a great start to the season.
He's been playing amazing.
Really good. I don't know how many he kicked. I don't think he kicked a whole bag.
I don't think he had a goal until the last quarter.
It's just more his presence up the ground. He's playing that up the ground role a bit, and I think he had a huge amount of forward 50 entries.
Yeah.
If you can get that out of your big man, it's and still kick a winning score when he's not kicking them.
We had a goal of the year contender. Definitely a goal of the week contender anyway.
That was to sink the Giants as well.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good. So yeah, look, I would imagine Sydney would take this one out. They're another team that for me are just starting to matter. I think they learnt from their mistakes this time last year where they just started really poorly.
Yeah.
And then they were just playing catch up the rest of the year really.
Yeah, and they can't afford to do that this year. The battle for the spoon game with North and Carlton. I know we sort of spoke about it before. That's a Saturday night.
Yeah, right. So that'll be.
Hey, just on I saw this stat. Carlton they've been rostered on, for lack of a better word, for a bunch of Friday night games this year.
Have they?
That's what I heard.
Okay. Yeah, right.
Because there's this damning thing that.
Oh yeah, they got another one.
Yeah, and there are a few more away games, but they out of their last 20 odd, they've lost 18 of them, and the average losing margin has been about 10 to 12 goals.
Right.
So why do they keep on getting put on? And it's purely a marketing thing.
Yeah, they've got two more this season. One is against the Dogs at Etihad, and which you would think they would lose. Who knows? And then the next one is against Sydney and Sydney, so they're going to lose that.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to win too many more. But look, Carlton haven't won that many games in the last 10 years.
Yeah, fair.
So it's you could look at
good
it.
in some of those years. Probably the start of that. Anyway,
I would imagine though North are going to take this one out quite easily. I would think.
Yeah.
What do you think of Essendon and Port, mate?
The weird thing is, I think we're going to win.
I know, me too. This is the frustrating.
I've got a good feeling about this, even though it's a Sunday and we don't win on Sundays.
No, actually, I've changed my mind. I'm tipping Port.
Yeah, it's a 110. It's an early start as well.
Screw that. They won't even be up. They'll Booker and Bellchambers will still be down at Port, bloody Melbourne somewhere.
Yeah. I think look, it's other than that, there's not that too many inspiring games other than that. So
yeah. I don't know. I think Hawks and the D's will be the game of the round for me. If I was to pick a game to watch, I would be choosing that game.
Yeah.
I think again it's a good test for Hawthorn. If they were to win this, then again I would gain a little bit of confidence, in their ability to be able to challenge for the finals again. But I have a lot of confidence in the Demons. I feel like the Demons are really going somewhere. I honestly think that if there's going to be a team this year like a Richmond, like a Bulldogs in the years before.
You reckon it's them?
I reckon it's going to be Melbourne. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be Melbourne.
Well, they've got some good defenders. They've got McDonald and Lever.
Yeah.
They've got a great ruck, probably one of the best rucks in the game in Maxi Gawn.
Mm.
And they've got one of the bright young forwards in Jesse Hogan as well.
Yeah. And
they got some good – they got Clayton Oliver, who's turned into a gun. I know he copped a lot of shit early days, but he's an absolute gun.
Mm.
There's a bit about him, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Huge. There's not really – the thing is there's not many weak areas in their team.
But they're still –
maybe a bit of depth.
But they're Melbourne.
I know. Though that is the thing.
And this is why they've got to prove it before we can
But Richmond are Richmond and they somehow won a flag.
Yeah, well, I guess that – and the Dogs are the Dogs, so –
yeah, that's right.
But having said that, I think Richmond had better top-end talent than Melbourne do.
Yeah.
Oliver's not a Dusty and Hogan's not a Jack Rewald.
That's right. Right now I would put...
and Lever's not a Rance.
No, not at all. I think Hogan will be a lot better than Revolt in time, I think, in terms of at their
I know what you mean,
best levels. But yeah, you're right. Richmond just have that awesome spine. where it's they generally don't lose one-on-ones or anything, right? So it's interesting. Hey, what did you think of was it Alistair Clarkson having a bit of a dig at was Selwood, Joel Selwood, about his ducking, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I read it. I didn't see it.
He didn't say like Joel Selwood specifically, that sort of thing, but I think it sort of came up about Selwood and how he sort of lifts the arms to gain the free kick, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I think Clarkson was sort of talking about it, if you want to stop concussions, then you need to stop these sort of instances happening when the tackle occurs. But you could tell he was having a bit of a dig at Selwood, right? And then Chris Scott, Cats coach, came and sort of, rebutted that a little bit. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was basically sticking up for Joel Selwood. So more argy-bargy between the Cats and the
I like
Hawks.
that.
It's always there.
I absolutely love that.
It's always there.
Now, remember last year in the final of West Coast and Port and Luke Shuey shrugged his shoulder?
Yep.
Now, for me, that wasn't a free kick.
You and BT
and me and BT were,
I thought it was.
And this is the thing, that the whole idea and what Clarkson's arguing is that the shrug contributes to head contact. Yeah. And that's what Shuey did, and that's what Selwood does. It's really the thing.
They're the two main players.
So you're saying that you were wrong last year in saying that Shuey was correctly awarded a free kick.
No, but I didn't say
he initiated the contact.
No, but I didn't say that like Clarkson was wrong or if Chris Scott was wrong. No, I think like
you just like how there's a bit of
it's a hard one. Yeah.
Where do you sit on that fence? Just
I don't know.
quickly.
It's a hard one. I think if I know exactly what players at Selwood and Shuey are doing, and everyone knows what they're doing. The umpires will know what they're doing. Like when they lift that arm, and then the
by the rules, they're initiating the contact, so it shouldn't be a free kick.
Yeah,
let's not because we'll talk about this for ages. Before we wrap up this, Chip, I want to bring something up. You went to the game on Friday night, the Carlton-Collingwood game, right?
I did, yeah.
Now, BT mentioned something that you had a bit of an issue with the size of the TVs.
I was hoping you'd bring this up.
At the MCG because you actually were so angry.
I was.
You were very angry.
Fuming.
That you were so angry that you thought you'd go to social media and get this sorted out.
Yeah.
So what you did, and for the people who are listening to this, if you can, get on the YouTube when it's up, because I'm going to put this. I've screenshotted everything.
Yeah, do it.
And I'm going to.
I wanted to get out there more.
Now you said, "Hey MCG, any chance you could invest in some larger TVs around the grounds? Surely from the $10 parking, or the $25 tickets, or the $11 beers, or the $6 sausage rolls,
ridiculous.
Everyone buys, you could afford it. Private message me for some suggestions on shopping for TVs." All the best. Thumbs up emoji.
Yeah. Well,
and you also
I was being constructive, right? I was allowing them to give me the chance.
A lot of sarcasm in that, though.
I will provide them with deals.
You put in the most terrible quality photo.
I know. I noticed that. I had 2 photos, and that was the better one.
They were terrible, right? And the funny thing was that I was talking to your fiance Taro, who was also at the game with you, right?
Yep.
And I was like, did you see this flog posting on social media on the MCG Facebook page?
She encouraged me.
She's like, he was talking about watch me get all these likes.
I did not say that.
That's what she said. And I tend to believe Tara than I believe you.
I may have said it, actually.
There's only 2 likes.
Yeah, I know.
Ha-has. One was me and one was BT.
Thanks for the support, boys.
2 comments, mind you. One was from BT saying, get a load of this bloke, and me replying saying, what a twat.
Thank you for the support, first of all. I appreciate it. But I don't get it, because I went on to... So I just searched MCG, right, and found their page. I don't really get it. This is not social. That's not social. Like, nobody else sees that on the MCG wall, even though I put it on their wall. So I don't get it.
No, it comes up in the feed like... People who like that page would see that. But if it doesn't interest them or they don't care, they won't
Not many
engage
people
with it.
like the page.
No, not many people must have an issue with the screen.
Oh, mate, have you been down the bottom level there where they've got 32-inch TVs? Fair enough.
There's one where I sit.
It's a joke, okay? Up the very top, not at the MCC, literally like on the other side of the ground, right? They have these, and it's not where you're sitting. It's like where the food stalls are and stuff.
Yeah.
I kid you not, mate. They have these 60 to 70-inch TVs, right? It's pointless. it's pointless because there's nothing.
It must impact the if the big 60 inches on there. It might actually block the view of some people, especially the standing room people.
I don't reckon they would. I know what you mean. I don't reckon they would because where I was sitting, I was almost at the very back on the first level, right? And that was about, I reckon it was a 42-inch TV, which I had in about 1992, right? Tiny. And it's stupid. I hate it though because, again, I look at the amount of money that they charge for everything there. Everything. Nothing is cheap. Tickets aren't cheap. Bottle of water is ridiculous. It's a joke. And they can't even upgrade these areas, right? Like Etihad, I think, is the same. Like I can't remember with Etihad. But,
yeah, they're pretty small at Etihad as well.
Oh, and even in the MCC, like I've been there a few times, and in the bar where you go to drink, because you can't drink in your suit, good one MCC, you have to, like the
that doesn't bother me, by the way.
It's a joke. The screens are, again, bloody tiny. It's a joke. Luckily, they're not the old tube tellies. Like, I'm surprised that they're not over there.
Can you imagine they had the old tube tellies?
And they've got like a cage around them. But anyway, look, I had a little bit of a rant. You know, I got a lot of likes, and it
kind of.
I don't care. As long as one person saw it who works there and thought, he brings up a good point. I'm happy.
Well, if we see bigger TVs anytime in the future.
Credit
goes to you.
If you see bigger TVs within 12 months, credit goes to me.
All right.
I
would say credit to Footy Banter podcast first.
Mate, the Facebook post is not from Footy Banter. It's from me.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have seen that.
I was actually in say that I was close to was it tagging Footy Banter in there?
Oh, you could have if you wanted to.
Well, just thinking, I was like, because
we would have booted you from the podcast for bringing the Footy Banter name into disrepute.
Anyway,
all right.
Look, I think deep down you agree with me, but I get it. Obviously, not many
funny.
people like the social media of MCG, so I saw it.
All right. Well, I think that'll do for this week. Nice little episode we had there with a small dose of BT.
Yeah. It was still enough.
Hopefully, there's some more positive results next week.
If Essendon play like that again, I may not rock up next week to banter, even though it's my house.
I think you meant to the game. I'm like,
no, I know. Like,
how do you know what's going to happen in the future before it happens?
What?
Never mind.
But I may not rock up. That might be it. I sent a message to you boys.
We do it at your house.
I know, but I might just stay upstairs. Just jump on the Xbox or something.
All right.
Because I sent a message to you afternoon and I said, that's it for me, boys. Catch ya.
You did? You checked out for the year.
I was out.
What happens if we win well? You're back on?
No, I'm done.
I'm locking you out,
I'm not a Richmond supporter. I don't just jump off and on. Once I'm off, I'm off.
All right, fair enough. Hey, stick by that because if we come back and win every game for the rest of the year, I'm not allowing you to celebrate
It won't happen, mate, because we've got too many Sunday games.
True. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week on the Footy Banter podcast.
Footy Banter.
If you want to get involved in the socials, you can. Instagram is live, Footy Banter _AU.
We'll get another old cropper, another video together like I did the last few weeks.
Mate, that is all me. You have zero input on that kind of stuff there.
That is true.
All right, guys, take it easy. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, mate.
Footy Banter.